going. So I hope you're having a good day. It's nice out here. It's rather much nicer here than it is about 7 hours east of us, where they're having quite a time of it. So today I'd like to touch upon two topics. One is a topic I mentioned a few weeks ago that I said I might follow up on, and that is all beliefs and perceptions are of the ego. All knowledge is of God. And the other topic is about giving and receiving and how each is tied to the other, because they are in fact the same thing, even though most of us have different viewpoints on that. So let's explore these two. Let's discuss all beliefs and perceptions are of the ego, all knowledge is of God. But first we have to provide some definition for the words belief and perception and knowledge. Let's start with the words belief or beliefs. A belief is said to be a long-held attitude. An attitude is a position one takes based on a perception. Perceptions are the result of thoughts and feelings. So everything starts from our thoughts and our feelings, and from there we develop perceptions, perhaps cop an attitude, and end up with beliefs. So our perceptions and beliefs, once we develop them, let's say about ourselves, about others, about life, about everything, become so ingrained in us, or we in them, that we begin to live by them without ever realizing it. And whether they are right or wrong, or good or bad, we become them without ever having to think about them again. Our beliefs and perceptions then become subconscious, which is another word for unconscious. And as you've heard me say in the past, 95% of what we do, say, think, and feel is subconscious. What does that mean? It means we're asleep, living by the perceptions and beliefs we grew into that we are no longer conscious of as a result of our past experiences. It also means we are almost never in the present moment. We are not even conscious of why we respond this way or that way, why we do this or that, why we think the way we think. We just do. And that's because we live from the beliefs we have already established based on our perceptions from our past. Our beliefs and perceptions ultimately determine how we think, respond, react, whether we smile or not, whether we have a good time or not. They determine our entire way of life and state of mind. Some define perception or beliefs as the end result of the processing of our senses. For example, we feel the sun on our face via our sense of touch. It's like the sun's rays touch our face and we process the sensation into a perception. We perceive its warmth and believe it to be warm. Once we translate the sensation into a perception or a belief, we eventually come to comprehend that the sun warms us. But is this comprehension or knowledge? Many would define knowledge as the end result of processing our perception. The sun warms us, so we decide to look into why that can occur. We learn about the chemical nature of the sun, the type of rays it emits, how it affects our skin, the plants, nature, the planet, and so on. We become an expert on everything having to do with the sun. We are then considered knowledgeable, learned even. But that's not knowledge at all. That's information. Most of what we learn is just information. Most of us have lots of information, worthless data that brings us no closer to God or our divine spirit. As a matter of fact, the more information we learn of the trivial, the further away we travel from our own divinity. There is an interesting quote from a book entitled God I Am. It says, God can be known, but not comprehended. Comprehension is perception with the mind, and thus it is of the ego. To perceive, we have to be separate from that which is perceived. That indicates division or divisiveness. Physicality itself is divisive and polarizing. God, however, is union, unifying, therefore not comprehensible, and not comprehensible by a polarized or divided mind. So what is this quote saying? It's saying this: we think rather we believe, we perceive that we can comprehend. And we believe that comprehension is a full-on, high-level form of understanding and gathering of information that we call knowledge. But it's not. It's just a lot of information. Information is not knowledge with a capital K. Comprehension requires perception and belief, but knowledge is beyond perception and belief. Knowledge is to know. Perception and belief is to think we know. The difference between the two is galaxies. The real difference between perception or belief and knowledge is this: there is nothing partial about knowledge. Every aspect of it is whole, and therefore no aspect is separate. We, that which we truly are, not that which we think we are an aspect of knowledge, as we are in the mind of God who created us. Now, perception and belief, at its loftiest, is always partial and never complete. God is, or God is pure beingness. Those statements are knowledge. I am happy is a perception or a belief. It is right perception if in fact I am truly happy, but it is still not knowledge. It is a perception. We don't know ourselves well enough to make that determination. In our decision to choose to be not God, knowledge was thrown away and perceptions and beliefs became necessary as a way to fill the void. Perceptions and beliefs such as consciousness. That's a good one. We believe that to become conscious is a step up the ladder as we progress, and although the words becoming conscious are used quite freely, it is an incorrect use of a phrase. The phrase should be becoming aware. Now, we may perceive the slight difference in the use of these words as splitting hairs, but remember, the body is not the only domain of the ego. Consciousness is a domain of the ego also, and therefore a perception. Awareness is not a domain of the ego. Awareness is of knowledge and therefore divine. We perceive that we see with our eyes, but that is a belief. We have the ability to interpret and evaluate. That we have freedom, or we believe we have the ability that we can interpret and evaluate. And that we have freedom of choice, but these are beliefs and perceptions. I've covered all this in the past, and I'm not getting into the details of it at this time, but what I am suggesting is pretty far out, right? Yet all of this is spelled out clearly in the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, Advaita Vedanta, A Course in Miracles, and so many, many, many other books. I personally learned from these types of books, philosophy books, not from the general population who has never read any of this stuff and then tells me that, yeah, you do see with your eyes. Yeah, I kind of disagree. They say that while at the same time suffering from bouts of unhappiness mixed in with happiness throughout every day of their lives, thinking that's reality. Why? Because everyone else experiences that. Anyway, beliefs and perceptions were made as a means of learning by us, not God, and the world was made to perceive in, to be a classroom where we can learn even more how to be that which we are not. I'm going to say that again. Beliefs and perceptions were made as a means of learning by us, not God. And the world was made to perceive in, to be a classroom where we can learn even more how to be that which we are not. Let's face it, most of us do not spend most of our day in meditation trying to commune with the divine and getting to know ourselves. We do everything else but. Maybe we spend 15 minutes, but in the scheme of things, 15 minutes out of 24 hours, It's not much, is it? Perceptions and beliefs are the level of the world, the body, and the ego. Perceptions and beliefs are the level of the world, the body, and the ego. Our perceptions and beliefs seem to be the evaluator of what is real and what is not real. Knowledge means nothing to the person who is intimately identified with his ego, his body, his thoughts, and this world, because identity is established by perceiving, perception, that is, by doing rather than by being. When you are meditating and learning to become harmonious, not only with the divine but with yourself, you are being. You're not doing. And to state a trivial phrase, we are human beings, but most of us think we're human doings, and we act that way. When knowledge was thrown away by us, what was thrown away was knowledge of ourself, our real higher self. In God, we simply know ourself. What we see is what we believe to be true about ourselves. That phrase, what we see is what we believe to be true about ourselves, becomes the law of mind in this world, our creed, if you will. That is, what is out there is true. And that is bass backwards. We truly believe that what is out there in the world affects us in here. But that is not the case. Doesn't mean that's not how you live. It is not the reality, however. The reality is that what is in here makes the world we think we see out there. This has been proven over and over and over again, ever since we've been alive, and yet we refuse to live to this truth. Additionally, this perspective has been taught us for eons, but we don't look at it. Instead, we believe only what our senses tell us. It's not the brightest method or brightest way to go about life. The world classroom itself is neutral, but not in our eyes. To most of us, it is not neutral. It is a battlefield out there to be fought upon, with people taking one side while others taking another side. And we all get involved in it. Again, it's not the brightest path. The ability to learn only means we do not know, because we gave away knowledge. Or more accurately, it means we forgot that we know, but it does not determine what we learn. The ability to learn does not determine what we learn. We can choose to use perceptions and beliefs to remind ourselves that we are eternally part of God, by extending love rather than being divisive and separate from ourselves, separate from each other. In fact, we must do this in order to awaken from our perceptions and beliefs on our journey back to knowledge. It's the only way, and it's the only way to peace. This happens to be the only real use the world, beliefs, and perceptions have for us. So knowledge is not the remedy for false perceptions or beliefs, since being on another level entirely, they can never meet. The one correction possible for false perception, however, is true perception, moving from wrong perception and beliefs to right perceptions and beliefs. True perceptions and beliefs will not endure, however, but they do lead to healing, for true perception is a remedy with many names. For instance, forgiveness, salvation, atonement, joy, peace, they are all the same thing and thus one. But as mentioned, even corrected perceptions and beliefs, what the Course refers to as true perception, into what is perceived as the real world, is still not knowledge. It only prepares us to accept knowledge once again. Right perception and true beliefs, it's the highest level we can attain in this world. The whole value of right perception and belief lies in the inevitable realization that all perception and all belief is unnecessary, because it will be supplanted by knowledge. They will become meaningless when they have been perfected, for everything that has been used for learning will then have no function. So, some of that was a little erudite, but let's move on to the concept of the sameness of giving and receiving. If we give to another, we have been taught that we lose what we give. But of course, that which we give is usually associated with something material. So if we give something away, we no longer have that which we gave. In the Newtonian paradigm that most people seem to live and believe in, one person wins and the other person loses. Stock market is the perfect example. However, this limited view of giving and receiving is fostered by a belief that views everything as physical without so much as a whisper of anything deeper behind the act of giving. If one delves into the mind of one who gives, we would find a giving, kind, benevolent spirit. And it is this we are talking about. The act of giving cannot occur without an equal and simultaneous moment of receiving, as they are both the same. Let's play with this concept that giving is receiving. Right now, as I am speaking, let's offer peace to everyone and then see how quickly it returns. I call this process beaming. With your eyes open, begin to offer peace, to beam peace, if you will, to others. People you know, people you don't know. Offer peace in this very moment. Now, if you've had a hard time with that, or you're not able to do that right off the bat, let's delve into this a little bit more. In order to offer peace to another, we have to feel peace. We have to feel peaceful. We have to become that very peace that we are offering, do we not? Yes. So fix your mind right now to a place, a spot, a memory that evokes the feeling, the sensation, the remembrance of something that has given you peace in your life. I'm going to keep talking because you're going to learn to become very adept at this throughout the rest of your life while someone is talking to you or you are doing something else like driving. You're going to beam as much as you can. Perhaps the memory is your favorite beach on this planet. Perhaps it's being with a certain person or being in a particular place. Maybe it's an animal. If it's anyone or anything that makes you miss what you are thinking of, that is not what I am asking you to do. I am asking you to feel peaceful about that which you place your focus upon, so that you can begin to beam peace out to the planet. Now, as you do this, you yourself become peaceful, and you receive that which you give. And it happens to you to the degree to which you generate it inside. The more you send out, the more you receive. The longer you do this, the longer you feel it strongly. The more you receive, the more you are able to send out, and the more powerful you become. The principle of giving and receiving is based on the laws of love and power. You may also offer quietness to everyone, peace of mind to everyone, gentleness to everyone. You will receive back in the same proportion to which you give it. There will be an exact return, for that is what was asked. You may also wish to send to one individual, as the one represents the all. Effect and cause can finally be understood when working the principles that exist at the most loving levels. When you do this, you understand what I'm saying. Employing this concept quickens our progress in this illusion of time as our learning progresses at a faster pace. Truly, to give and to receive are one in truth. And that's what I have for today. Enjoy this beautiful day, everyone, so far anyway. See you next time.